Okie doke. Sketchup number 6 is about adding flying tours to a model, and this will be a part of your bigger project that's coming up at the end of the week. So let's learn how to do it so you'll be ready for it later. There's a file that I've posted for you to use on this assignment today. It'll make a copy. Google Classroom will make a copy of the file and put your name on it, and then you do your work and you save it and you turn it in. I've got some steps here about how to do it, but I'm not going to read those. And I've got some hints here about setting some animation settings. You'll see what I mean here in just a minute because I'm going to demonstrate a bit of it. So that the handout has all of it on there, but you can watch this movie and you'll know what to do if you watch the movie. Okay, so on Google Classroom for the Wednesday assignment for SketchUp number 6 for flying tours, there's the handout right there, and here is the student file. It says Plainfield University student file. And so this is one of those times you're going to click this, and then you're going to open with SketchUp for Schools up at the top. You're going to open it in SketchUp for Schools. I'm actually going to do it a little bit different way. Let me get rid of that. Let me go home. I'm going to open a different copy of it. So give me a second while I just dig into the folder that I need here. It won't take long. I'll get into my digital media folder and I'll get into my SketchUp assignments. And down here I have one that is set up as my period 7. Oh, why can't I find it? Okay, I finally found it. I'm just tired and my eyes weren't seeing things. All right, so I found it. Here's my demo file, so I'm going to select that and I'm going to open that up. And I don't need to save anything that I have there. That was from yesterday. Okay, so here is what, and let me get rid of that. Here's what we got. I'm just going to give you a little peek at what we have here. There's a big building that is here, and it says Plainfield University on the front of it, which, by the way, does not really exist, but we're using our imagination. There's kind of a horseshoe drive here that comes up to the front door of Plainfield University and then drives away. If you look at the sign that is posted right outside, it says Welcome to Plainfield University. And if you were to orbit around and look at the sign as you're leaving, it says, Thanks for visiting Plainfield University. Isn't that nice? Isn't that so very friendly? And we've got a little kind of an athletic field over here. Okay, hey, there we go. Whew. All right, so that's kind of just a peek at the model, right? So we're going to do what I was just doing. We're going to do kind of a similar thing, but let me show you how we can automate this and make an animation that is kind of like a flying demo of this model. And a lot of times, I'll tell you what, a lot of times architects who use this kind of program, they'll have to like pitch their model to somebody who might be interested in them, being the architect for a project. And so they do this kind of thing. They make an animated little movie of their model to show to their possible client and say, here's what I could do for you. So we're doing something that's very similar to what people who are getting paid big time money do. All right, so over here on the right hand side, on this toolbar that's on the right, it's the fourth one up from the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's this panel that's called Scenes, and I'm going to open it up. Okay, now what you want to do is get the view of the model the way you want it. For example, if I would like for my little tour, I'm going to make a 10 scene tour. That's what you're going to do as well. If I want my tour to start from way up here in the sky, think of it like a helicopter or a drone that's flying around and giving you views of this model. So let's say I want to start way up here at way up high. All right, so I'm just going to get that angle that I want, and I'll come over here to the scene panel, and I'll just click the plus sign. It's as easy as that, right? It's added scene number 1. Now, the next thing I would do is come back over here on the model and just do some, zooming and panning and moving around with the hand tool and whatever and get the next view that I want. And I think what I want is to kind of come up on this sign that says, Welcome to Plainfield University, and we can see the front entrance in the background there. And so I'm going to hit the plus button, and I've added scene 2. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is have it kind of fly up here toward the front door. kind of like this. And let's get a peek at the front door, the front area here. So I'm going to click the plus sign, and I've added scene 3. Now, I can, gosh, if you get really good at this, you can fly inside of models. You could go, I'm not great at it, to be honest with you, I'm not great at it. But if you zoom in enough, when you start going through materials there, look, I'm inside that front entrance. See what I mean? I'm inside that front entrance now. So I don't know that I'm really going to make that a view in my movie, but I'm showing you that you can do that. I'm going to have our like flying camera kind of back out away from the front door and kind of come up high a little bit again, and I'm going to click a plus sign there, and that's going to be scene 4. Now I'm going to orbit around, so I'm giving my audience a view from kind of the back of the property, the back corner of the property. I'm going to click the plus sign there. We're going to get scene 5. Okay, now I'm going to orbit to the back. This is where we're looking at the back of the building. We can see the athletic field. I'm going to hit the plus sign there. We have scene 6. Now, the next thing I'm going to feature in my view is the kind of the athletic field. So I'm kind of moving. I'm just using the hand tool, the zoom tool, the orbit tool, and I'm getting a view. We're looking down at the athletic field. Okay, so I'm going to click the plus sign there. That's scene 7. We're going to zoom down on the athletic field and maybe give it a spin, kind of like this. All right, and I'm going to click the plus sign, and that's scene 8. So we're almost done. All right, I'm going to pull out here a little bit, and I want to get kind of high from the back, and that's going to be scene 9. And if again, this is one of those things that if you like doing it and you think, okay, this is kind of fun, you can do more than 10 scenes if you want to. I'm requiring 10 scenes today, but you can do more if you would like. It's totally fine to do more. And now what I want to do is kind of fly it down toward the sign here that says, thanks for visiting Plainfield University. I'm going to click the plus sign, and that is scene 10. All right. So I've got over here on the scene panel over on the right hand side, I have 10 scenes all kind of lined up. Now, you can also, if you click on a scene, it will go to that view. Like, for example, if I click on scene 6 right now, it's going to go to that view. Well, that's kind of cool. I can kind of navigate around that way and jump from scene to scene in that manner. You could also reorder these. I don't really want to do that, but you could reorder these. These scenes can be dragged up and down the stack, and they can be named. I could click in here. They don't have to be scene 1, scene 2. I mean, I think those names make some sense, but they can be renamed. You can click right on the name of the scene, and you could rename them if you want to. There is a little arrow over here about the things that you want to include in your animation, like camera location, top level geography, all these things. A lot of things we haven't even talked about. But we're not going to overcomplicate things today. We'll not worry about too much of that. All right, so now let's go back to scene 1, and let's at least take a look at what we've got here. There's a play button down at the there's a play button down here at the bottom. So I'm going to click play. And you notice it didn't start right away. Now it's going. Okay, we'll get into that. Why didn't it start right away? We'll get into that here in a second. And it's flying from scene to scene. We're on scene 4 right now. Now we're flying around to scene number 5. I gave it a little tour around the back of the building. There's scene 6. Scene 7 is the one that looks down on the field, and then we're going to zip around. Scene 8 was the reversal. Scene 9 is up high. Scene 10 is going to take us down to the sign, and it is going to loop. It's going to loop, and it's gone back to scene 1, and now it's gone to scene 2, and it's going to scene 3, so you get the idea. All right, so at the bottom of the scene panel, there's a pause button, and I'm going to go ahead and click that, and I'll return to scene number 1. Now, the other thing that I want to show you in this demo movie is that at the bottom of the scene panel, there's a little gear button, and anytime you see a gear button on a piece of software, what that typically means is settings, things that you have some control over. So we've got scene transitions enabled, which means that kind of that nice smooth animation that's going from one scene to the next scene. So I'm going to leave that turned on. Transition time has to do with how quickly it flies from one scene to the next when it's moving, like when it's going from 1 to 2. How much time does it use to get there? Right now, the default value is 2 seconds, but you could turn that down. You could turn it down to 0. And man, that would just go so fast because it would instantly chop from scene 1 to scene 2. And when it's time to go on to scene from 2 to 3, it would instantly chop from 2 to 3. So I don't think I want to do that. I might bump it up to 3 seconds maybe. Now the delay time has to do with, okay, once it arrives on a scene, once it gets to a scene, how long should it hold still before it moves on to the next scene? That's what delay time is all about. I might bump that up a little bit. So I'm going with a combination of 3 and 3. I've kind of slowed things down just a smidge, right? But you can set these on whatever you want to. And there's a slider here. If you would rather work with a slider, you can do that as well. So I'll go ahead and click OK. And that has changed those settings for the entire movie. So well, I don't know that we'll watch the whole thing, but I'm going to click the play button. And it's doing that 3-second delay right now before it kicks into moving. 3-second delay. And you also might notice now that it's moving a little bit slower because I told it, okay, as you're going from one scene to the next scene, take 3 seconds to do it. So that's going to mean some slower movement. And it also depends on how far you're moving. How far is it moving in that matter of 3 seconds, right? If it's a short distance, then it's going to seem like really slow. Okay, so it's chugging along here with my 3-second transition time and my 3-second delay time, right? The delay time would start, boom, 2, 3, right there, right? When it gets to a scene, you go 1, 2, 3, and then it's going to move on to the next one because it's delaying for 3 seconds before it moves ahead. All right, so this is really what I want you to do here today. I want you to take that model that I built, and I'm going to go ahead and hit pause here, and I'll just kick it back to scene 1. Take that model that I built, open the scene panel, work on getting the angles, the views that you want, and every time you get a view that you want, hit the plus sign and build your scenes until you have 10 scenes. Once you have those 10 scenes, you might want to go to that settings button and set the transition time and the delay time to suit you, to suit whatever you want. And then when you get it, and play your movie. Don't just do it. Oh, I just have to do it and turn it in. Play your movie. Take enough, take enough pride in what you're doing to play your own movie and watch your own movie and make sure that it looks, okay. All right, and when you're all done, because it is that file that I put on Google Classroom, all you got to do is come up here and click Save. Right? It's got a name, so all you got to do is come up here and click Save, and it should say Saving, and then it should say Saved, and then you should be able to hop back over here to Google Classroom and turn that in. In fact, I think for you guys, since it makes a copy, I think maybe there's just like a turn in thing on there automatically, and you just click turn in and it turns it in. All right, so there you go. That's Google SketchUp number 6.